Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. September 20th, 2024. Dhamma of Peace series, number 20. The 5 aggregates. Pancakkhanda. What we call you, me, and I, a self, an individual, a person. Buddha showed us what its true nature is by dividing the self into 2 parts, mind and matter, or you can call body and consciousness, or mentality and physicality. Most of the time, he talks that way when relating to us with 2 physical phenomena, material phenomenon and physical phenomenon. And then, at some points, Buddha divided those 2 into 5 parts. They are form, feeling, perception, mental formation, and consciousness. Buddha divided that way into 5 parts for practical purpose, because these 5 parts can be observed or noted moment to moment and penetrate deeply into their true natures. So it's very useful practically, and all of us can use in our practice of mindfulness, insight meditation, or observation or noting. Okay, let's go one piece at a time. What we call form in Pali is called Rupakhanda. Rupakhanda. In English, aggregates of materiality. Rupakhanda, aggregates of materiality. It consists of form or matter, of past, present, and future. And it consists of matter that are gross or subtle. And it consists of matter that are near to us or far from us. That's why it is called aggregates. It presented in terms of time, as well as subtlety, as well as distance. That is the reason it's called aggregates or khanda. And the next one is Vedanatkhanda. Vedanatkhanda, aggregates of feeling. And this consists of pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral feeling. That is one group of aggregates. Pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral feeling. It also consists of gross feeling and subtle feeling, subtlety of the feelings. And also it consists of experience of an object, whether it is near or far. So different characteristics. That is why it's called Vedanatkhanda, aggregates of feeling. And the third one is called Sanyanakkhanda. Sanyanakkhanda. In English, aggregates of perception. It consists of perceiving, noting, and remembering things. It consists of perceiving, noting, and remembering things or objects from the past, present, and future. But these perceptions may be right according to this true nature or may be wrong from the true nature. Sometimes it hit and sometimes it missed. Sometimes it is right and sometimes it is wrong from its true nature. But regardless, when mindfulness is applied to this perception, mindfulness is applied to the aggregates of perception, it becomes always correct and right according to the true nature of things or objects. That is Sanyanakkhanda, aggregates of perception. By itself, it could be right or wrong to the true nature, but when mindfulness is added, when mindfulness is applied, that perception is always correct and right according to the true nature of the objects. And the fourth one is Pancakkhanda. Pancakkhanda, aggregates of mental formation. Pancakkhanda, aggregates of mental formation. So, if we are going to discuss mental formation, we need to know mental associates or cetasika. Mental associates or cetasika. What it is this mental associates, whenever a consciousness arises, a certain group of these mental associates always arises together with the consciousness. Not all 52 together, they have their own little groups. A certain group arises together with the consciousness. They call mental associates. Okay. In general, we always say, oh, all these emotional factors. But it is far beyond that. Just to give you a few tidbits of it. Mental associates are doubt is a mental associate. Sloth and torpor, restlessness and remorse, physical pleasant feeling and mental pleasant feeling. Physical anger or aversion, mental anger or aversion. Conceit, greed, sense desire, mindfulness, mental concentration, equanimity, delusion, and so on. So there are all sorts of mental qualities in these 52. But out of these 52, Buddha took out Vedana, feeling, and Sanya, perception, because it is very significant to us, important for us. So he dealt separately for Vedana, feeling, and separately for Sanya, perception. So, in other words, 52 minus 2, 50 remains. That 50 is called mental formation. That 50 remaining is called mental formation. But again, there's a little step, one more step to go. Whenever these 50 arises, okay, whichever group, whatever one it is, arises, there always is one mental formation called cetana, volition, or will, or intention. It's always with the remaining 49. When the remaining 49 arises, there's always that will or intention or volition. It is like a salt in a dish. Whatever dish you cook, there's always salt. Just like that. This volition arises with the remaining 49, whichever group it comes up. This volition or will has the quality to make consciousness, vijnana, and 49 remaining mental factors to activate, to motivate, and push to take a stand according to their characteristics. This volition makes all those things stronger. This volition is the one that creates the thought into deed and speech, physical action and verbal action. That's why The Buddha said, I call volition karma. Karma is wholesome and unwholesome actions. But it is actually the volition is the one that is making that karma active. Buddha said, volition, I call it karma. So, that should survive the Pancakkhanda, aggregates of mental formation. The next one is Pancakkhanda, aggregates of consciousness. Pancakkhanda, aggregates of consciousness. This consists of various groups of consciousness, not just one consciousness, various groups. Why? We all know consciousness does not and cannot arise alone by itself. Whenever it arises, certain mental associates arises together with it. So, by putting all these different kind of mental associates and group, we get many, many types of consciousness. That's why we call it aggregates of consciousness. This vijnana or citta or consciousness by itself alone, it's simply an ability to know an object. That's it, nothing more, nothing less. Just like a motion detector that you install in your house can detect motion, they make a beep beep. That's all that they know. They don't know whether it's a cat or a dog or a human or a skunk. That is vijnana, consciousness standalone. And as I said, it cannot arise by itself. It arises with some mental associates. Therefore, in general, it can be divided to 89 consciousness. 89 consciousness. So aggregates of consciousnesses, there are 89 of them. And I'll give some little group of aggregates out of this 89 consciousness. Some aggregates of consciousness are six sense consciousness. Seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and thinking. So that's one group by itself. Six sense consciousness, one aggregate. Another type of consciousness can be divided in terms of realms of existence. There are 31 planes of existence in Buddhist cosmology. Some example would be hell realm, animal realm, hungry ghost realm, demonic realm, full woeful state. And then human realm, where both suffering and pleasures mix, coexist together. And six-day war realm, where always pleasures exist constantly from the moment of birth till to the last moment of death. Only at the last moment of death, the Deva can feel the suffering of demise. And also 20 Brahma rounds. So based on these rounds, there's another group of consciousness, aggregate of consciousness. And another classification for aggregates, another aggregate is 6 wholesome and unwholesome consciousness. They divide it in terms of wholesome and unwholesome. What are the unwholesome ones? We all know lobha, dosa, moha, greed, aversion, and delusion. And the other 3 wholesome consciousness are alobha, adosa, amoha. Consciousness without greed, consciousness without aversion, and consciousness without delusion. So these are a few examples of how 89 consciousness can be divided into various groups of consciousness, various aggregates of consciousness. And of course, it can go on further. But this should give you an idea of how 89 consciousness become an aggregates of consciousness. And that is the reason we call Pancakkhanda aggregates of consciousness. They are all aggregates. So if you look at it, we round up 1, aggregates of materiality, 2, aggregates of perception, 3, aggregates of mental formation, 4, aggregates of feeling, and 5, aggregates of consciousness. Materiality, feeling, perception, mental formation, and consciousness. Those are the 5 aggregates. Pancakkhanda. Now, let's go to the actual practical purpose. And when you are observing these aggregates individually, piece by piece, bit by bit, moment to moment, with continuous, strong mindfulness, then you will come to know experientially impermanent suffering and non-self, anicca, dukkha, anatta, of each piece of these 5 aggregates. Again, which are form, feeling, perception, mental formation, and consciousness. And when you come to know that experientially, the 3 characteristics, the 3 common characteristics of each of them, you have attained or gained insight or vipassana jnana or vipassana wisdom. These are all in the domain of mind and matter. So may all of you be able to practice mindfulness insight meditation, noting, observing precisely and thoroughly at every moment, and come to experientially understand the three common characteristics of the five aggregates and attain supreme peace as soon as possible. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you very much.